everybody, and thanks for joining us this evening for a good energy boost webinar. And it's really, this is about giving yourselves an hour for you to concentrate on yourself and kind of take the time to do that. So yeah, hopefully you're in a nice place, quiet place, and you can just take this time for yourself. Now, in terms of the mechanics of it all, Allegra's put you all on mute. Feel free to use the chat, as she said, and introduce yourselves in the chat as well. And then when Mel and Helen are talking, it's best to use the speaker view if you want to see them full screen. And if you have the gallery view, you'll see everybody all together, but you might want to go to speaker view when they're talking. Yeah, and we're going to start off with just a bit of an introduction to Mel and Helen, and then they'll each run a session, so they'll each run a part of the webinar each, and we'll make sure their contact details are on screen at the end if you want to know more. Okay, so get started. Mel, we'll start with you. So tell us a bit about what you do.
Oh, a bit about what I do. Okay, I am a Neuro-Linguistic Programming Master Practitioner, a coach and a facilitator. And I put that all under the banner of a learning and wellbeing consultant. And I work with individuals or companies, either on a one-to-one sort of session basis with individuals, or doing bespoke workshops for various companies, depending on what it is that they need. Things like coaching, leadership, team building, advanced communications, that kind of thing. There's a lot I could list, so it gets a bit lengthy. And with the individual people, with one-to-ones using NLP and coaching, it's really about sort of working out where they're at and where they want to go, and seeing how they've got where they are. So they might have programmed themselves for an outcome that they're not happy with, like a fear or a phobia or anxiety or stress, all kinds of things that people might not want. And once you understand how they've programmed themselves for that outcome, you can remove that program and put a more useful one in, so that when they leave, they're empowered and they're feeling better, and they're getting a new outcome that they actually want to achieve. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Great. And how did you progress to doing this?
Oh, how did I? Okay, so I did sales for about 17 years, and I was really quite good at it. And I realised the reason I was good at sales was because I really liked people, and I liked talking and listening, listening particularly. And I thought, well, that's probably not the best use of that, selling stuff. I could probably, help people, and so that's what I did. So I had an NLP session and was amazed at the witchery of it. I couldn't believe how amazing it was. So yeah, I just looked into it more, and turned out the person who I had the NLP session with did NLP training, so I went and did all of that over sort of 5 years, and became a master practitioner and a coach, and then an NLP trainer. So yeah, I got the bug. I got a bit addicted, and I think because I like people, it just it fitted in well.
And you've been continuing to do coaching through Zoom, haven't you, during the last few weeks?
Yeah, I have. I've been really surprised actually at how effective it is, because before this happened, I was quite and I was quite proud of it as well. I was quite definite that no, I need to be face to face with my clients, because I'm also a Reiki practitioner, so I'm really aware of like the energy. And I did Reiki after becoming an NLP coach, because I became more aware of the energy. So I like to be in the room with the person. But since doing this, I've realised that actually it's still really powerful over Zoom, and so that's really opened up all kinds of possibilities, in terms of geography. So that's exciting. That's good. I know lots of good things have come out of lockdown. That's one of them.
Great, thank you, Mel. And Helen, can you tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I am a coach, facilitator. I run events, workshops, training, and a lot of in the past, I suppose my biggest area was in social care and working with anyone who had a responsible job supporting other people. And now I work individually one-to-one with clients. I still work with organisations, and a lot of the way my work's developed has been around the emotional labour of work, the cost of putting yourself out there and being capable and responsible. But I suppose the the direction that it's moved in over the last few years has been around doing empowerment events. So I am a trained firewalk instructor, and I take people walking barefoot on hot coals and do lots of exciting activities, all basically to show people how brilliant they are when they're doubting themselves, to give them that sense of, wow, look what I can achieve. And so I set up the Boost project, which is basically designed to spread some positive energy in the world, to spread some positive, I mean, it's needed at the moment. And it's my focus is uplifting, energizing and equipping people to do whatever, you know, anything in life really. So life, work, professional, personal, and also teenagers as well. I've done a lot of work over the past 6 years, big seminars, empowerment seminars with teenagers, because it just really matters that young people get these skills and abilities while they're young and are able to, you know, have the futures they want.
Great, and you've also been busy as well, haven't you, in the last few weeks?
I have, yeah. I've been pivoting, I believe, quite massively. Again, a little bit like Mel, I love face-to-face. I love getting in front of groups of people and the energy of that. So I have been quite proud of myself in what I have achieved in terms of getting online. And I know coaching is really powerful online anyway. I was already doing phone coaching. And I'm an EFT and matrix practitioner, so and a kinetic shift practitioner. So using energy, working with the emotions and tactics, and all of that works online just fine.
Great, lovely to talk to both of you. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Mel now for her session.
Thank you very much. So when I was asked to do this for Brighton Digital Women, I had a bit of a think about the current situation. And as a Neuro-Linguistic Programming Master Practitioner, such a mouthful, I am super aware of the language that surrounds certain things. I'm quite sensitive to it. So there's a particular word that I noticed in this in these times that seems to be said an awful lot. You might already know what I'm about to say. It seems you can't get through a press conference without hearing it. Unprecedented. Yeah, we've all heard that word rather a lot recently. We do think we need a new one. Unprecedented. So that seems to be the word for 2020 so far. That's what I'm guessing. And so I thought, what does that word mean? Because that seems to be framing our experience and what's happening in the world. And it means it's not happened in our lifetime, doesn't it? This is a new scenario, something we've never been through before. And therefore, we don't have the exact coping mechanisms and strategies internally required for exactly this situation. We might have coping strategies for similar, so anything stressful or change, anything sort of any anxiety, fear, anything like that, and they will work well. They'll be effective, you know, through this for sure, and that's what we're all using, and we're doing, you know, most of us are doing okay. And it would be really useful to have some more tools so that we can get through this a little bit more consistently. I know that myself and clients and people I'm talking to, I don't know about you guys, but it's a bit of an up and down. You know, one day you think, yes, I've got it, and the next day you're like, oh, I haven't got it at all. And that's, you know, that's understandable. So there's the fact that we've not been through it before, and then there's the fact that we're week 6 in the UK anyway, and so this is becoming a longer thing, isn't it? It's not a short challenge, and we don't know when it's going to end. There's no particular, there might be some light at the end of the tunnel, but we don't know exactly when that tunnel finishes. So what I thought, when on reflection, we've never been through this before. We don't have the strategies immediately available to us for this specific scenario, and we don't know when it's going to end. So we need resilience. We need tools that are going to allow us to remain at our best, whatever that is on any given day, to come out the other side of this having been okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend a little bit of time sharing with you tools for being able to control your state, so that you can think about how you want to feel on any given day or in any given moment, and have more control over that. So I hope that sounds like something worth, dialing in for. Good start. Now, so then my first question then to you would be, where are you out of 10? If you had to score yourself right now, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being flipping awful, 10 being nailing lockdown, yeah? Where would you say you are? You don't obviously have to tell me, but just for your own understanding. And we'll all score ourselves differently. When you score out of 10, everyone has different criteria for different numbers, and that's fine. That doesn't matter, because we're not comparing. It's just for your own information, so that you can notice where you're at. And what that will do is allow you to have a level of awareness as to where you are on the scale, so that you can choose to go up a little bit if you want to. Now, some of you might be like, well, I'm a 10. That's great. If you're not a 10, my next question to you, once you've known sort of where you are, once you've worked that out, is where would you like to be? So let's say, for argument's sake, you're a 6 and you think, well, I'd like to be a 7. Now, that might sound silly because, of course, you know, if we could really choose, then we'd all like to be a 10. And absolutely choose 10 if that's what you'd like to go for. It's just, I'd like to acknowledge how realistic that kind of jump might feel to someone. So choose a number that feels achievable for you. Some people will be happy to make a giant leap, and other people would just rather take a short step. It might be a half a point, yeah. And some days that's an amazing achievement. So that's worth saying. Where are you out of 10? Where would you like to be? You'll all have numbers in your head. Now, when you know where it is that you'd like to be, my next question to you is, what could you do to get yourself to that number, whatever that number is for you? What could make you feel a 7 or an 8? Yeah. And there'll be lots of strategies. And it could be that something really simple pops into your head and you think, well, I just need to chat to my best mate. I always feel really good when I talk to her. It might be that, you know, a nice piece of chocolate cake would get you up to a 7. Walking the dog, doing an exercise routine, you know, dead simple strategies to just move you up. And then other times it might be you think, well, I've got absolutely no idea, actually, not a clue. And spend some time working out what you do control and what could make the difference, and make those steps smaller if it's seeming like it's unachievable. You can boil it down so it's just a tiny step up. If you think, well, actually, I know exactly what would get me to an 8, it's going to see my nan up the road, but I can't do that, so why I can't get myself to the 8 or to the 9. And I think that's where some people that I'm talking to, I think that's where they are. They're feeling disempowered and like they can't really control how they're feeling because they can't do the one thing that they want to do. And this is a very useful tool. If you're the person who wants to go and see your nan and that's all you want to do and you can't, then my question to you would be, what would going to see your nan achieve for you? And the answers, you know, there'll be lots of different answers. You all know what the answers are. In my imaginary scenario, it's that they go and see their nan. The nan, they see that she's okay, first of all, so they get peace of mind knowing that she's well. They go and see her, therefore she knows that you're thinking about her, so you get peace of mind. In every scenario, it's peace of mind is the actual goal in going to see the nan. And so seeing the nan is the strategy. So nod if this is making sense. Yeah, okay. Therefore suddenly you're given your power back. So there are things we can't do right now, and that's all over, you know, the media and the news, and I think that therefore it's what people are focusing on some of the time. There are still things we can do. So if peace of mind is what you're looking for in terms of your nan, what else can you do that will allow you to know she's okay, let her know that that you're thinking of her, and all the things that it is that you want to achieve with a visit? What are the other things that are in your control that will achieve those outcomes? Because peace of mind is the goal, not seeing your nan. Seeing your nan is the strategy. And that's where we can bring back certain levels of power in terms of the things that currently are outside of our control. To recap, where are you out of 10? Knowing where you want to be, how it's going to look, What are you going to be doing, not doing, what's going to be happening around you when you get to your 8 to your 9, so that you've got a really clear view, thoughts, feelings on how that's going to be, because your conscious and your unconscious mind need to know what that looks like so that you can achieve it. If you are thinking about what you don't want, then you're more likely to get that. When we focus on, oh, the screen's going crazy. I think we lost a lot of people. Yeah, when we focus on what we don't want, we know what that looks like, we know how that feels, we know what that sounds like, so we're more likely to get it. When we think about what we do want and we focus on that, then our unconscious and conscious mind is much more able to achieve it. So where is it that you are, where do you want to be, how does that look, and that will give you the power back. So in terms of focus and knowing where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, that's great. You know, you might do that today and think, well, that was brilliant, actually, I'm really glad I did that webinar, and then tomorrow night feel a bit rubbish, or, you know, whenever in the future not feel great, and not be sure how you got there. So my next invitation to you is, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 is a mindfulness exercise. It's not just done once a week, it's always there in the back of your mind, so that you can check in with yourself regularly, so that if you notice that you've stepped down 1 or 2, you can stop, reflect, and work out how you can get yourself back up 1. So every morning I'll think, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10? What do I need? What is in my power and my control to get me up a step? And what does that look like? How does that feel? What's going to be happening for me? And then I do it. And then I might notice an hour or 2 later that actually I've gone down a step. What happened? What was the trigger there? And I'll have to sit and I'll have to think for a minute, or I might know straight away. And I flex. So this is resilience. This is being flexible and knowing what's happening at any given moment, so that you are aware, so that you don't end up at the bottom of the staircase going, what the hell happened? You're able to be resilient and consistent in terms of your state, knowing where you want to be. So it's mindful. It's being in the moment. It's not sort of getting too caught up in things, and always bringing yourself back. Now, if you're doing all of those things and you're hyper aware of where you are, you're thinking about what it is that you want to be able to, where you want to be, and you're empowering yourself and focusing on what you do want rather than what you don't want. And if you're still finding that on the odd day you're not quite in the high 8s or 9s and you're not sure what's happening, then I would like to draw your attention to your internal dialogue, what it is that you're saying to yourself, because we all talk to ourselves more than anyone else talks to us, and it has a huge impact on how we feel. So it might be that you wake up, you think, right, I'm going to do that thing that woman said about, I'm going to think where I am out of 10, and I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to tidy the lounge, actually, because I know that if my lounge is nice and tidy, I'm going to feel like I'm in control, I'm going to feel calm. So you skip down the stairs thinking, yeah, this is great. You get to the lounge and you look at it and you think, oh, I can't really be bothered, actually, I'm a bit knackered. And the first thing you say to yourself is, lazy, I'm so lazy. And you beat yourself up a bit. And then immediately you're down a step or half a step, whatever that takes you. It doesn't help you, doesn't make you feel good. And slowly over time, or quickly, those kind of thoughts and that internal dialogue is going to make you feel rubbish and steal your power, and you might not know how you got there. So because it's quite instinctive, our internal dialogue, I'd like to invite you to really notice what it is that you're saying to yourself, how you're talking to yourself, and the impact that it's having. So what I would say is, in that scenario where you say, oh, lazy, delete it and choose something else. So in current terms, it could be that you delete, oh, you're lazy, useless, good for nothing, whatever it is you call yourself, and you replace it with, do you know what, I'm in lockdown during a pandemic, I'm entitled to be tired, actually, and you deserve to sit down with a cup of tea and feel absolutely fine about whatever mess is around you, you know, and you're talking to yourself. And then you can sit down and have a cup of tea, remove the guilt and remove the pressure that you feel, and weirdly then you probably feel more like tidying the lounge, but you'll definitely feel calmer and better. And I am speaking from experience, so I know that works. listen to what you're saying to yourself. You know, I get clients and I get people in workshops say, oh no, it's fine, you know, I always talk to myself badly, it motivates me, or it doesn't bother me, it doesn't have any effect. And I do an exercise where I ask them to write down their internal dialogue, and then either in pairs or I read back to them what it is that they've said to themselves, and they physically react. You can see their emotional reaction to the words, and they realise that the impact that they have is more than they'd realised. And you can change it. You just need to be aware. Awareness is the first step towards having control over it. So please notice what you're saying to yourself and the impact that it's having, and then take control and rewrite whatever it is, and then it will become more habitual to be nice to yourself. Now, with internal dialogue, gauging where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, thinking about what you do want, being intentional, taking back control. If you're still having days, you'll have some days that are good and some days that are bad. If you're still having days that are quite low, in the low tens, the final thing for the purpose of this webinar that I'd like to draw your attention to are your beliefs around everything, and specifically the current situation. What do you believe? Now, we are we're with our conscious mind and our unconscious mind, most of the time we're quite unconscious, and that's fine, because if we consciously thought about everything, we'd be really exhausted. Our unconscious mind has to help us out sometimes. What happens though is that our unconscious mind makes some of the makes our beliefs without us noticing, and so therefore we end up with beliefs that don't help us, what we call limiting beliefs. And when they're left unchecked, they can really sabotage our behavior and how we feel. So if you have a limiting belief that you're not aware of, or that you are aware of, it's going to impact how you feel, and it's going to impact your behavior. And of course that impacts your whole life. In terms of the lockdown and what's currently happening, if you know the state that you want to be able to access, you know, whether that's calmness, happiness, confidence, whatever it is, notice what beliefs are helping you to achieve that and what beliefs are sabotaging that state. Because I'm aware of this scenario, I quite consciously chose my beliefs at the beginning of this situation. I chose to believe everyone I know and love will be absolutely fine, that if I was to get this, then I would have a really mild version and it would be okay. And I also chose to believe some really good things, you know, that it's good for the environment, it's good for the world, it's good to pause, you know, because that's sort of the foundations then for how I feel and behave through it. Those beliefs will stand you in good stead if you back those beliefs up with mindful checking in on how you are and in on yourself, thinking about how you want to be, picturing how you want to be. Then you're going to be more consistently able to control your state and remain resilient, lean in on those days where you go down. And it's also worth saying that on some days where you think, well, actually, you know, I'm a 4, it is okay to stay at a 4. It might be that something bad's happened, maybe you're just exhausted. Sometimes we're going to have days where we're in the lower part of the staircase, and if you choose to stay there because that's your choice, they're valid feelings, they're valid emotions. We don't have to skip around through life all the time. The point here is that it's we're aware of where we are. We've got control over it to a point because we recognise that we're on the 3rd staircase, and we can go, right, today's a 3. I'm staying in at a 3. This is me. And you experience whatever it is that you're experiencing for whatever reasons. And then you choose when you want to then go back up. Is it the next day, or do you want 2 days where you're at a 3? The point is you're aware. So yeah, I don't want anyone to think that I'm suggesting that we should all be positive, dancing around all the time. That's not always possible. So in review, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you want to be? How does that look? What can you do to achieve that higher number? If the first thing that pops into your head is something that you're unable to do because of current situation, work out what that thing would achieve for you. So if it's going to the pub, you know, what would going to the pub achieve for you? Well, connection with friends, fun, happiness. You know, what are the other things that could achieve that for you? So you've got more options. Consistently check where you are out of 10 so that you don't slip down the staircase, and check your internal dialogue. What is it that you're saying to yourself and the impact that that's having on you? And choose just to be your absolute best friend. Only say really, really kind, nice things to yourself. And then finally, check your beliefs around this scenario, but around everything that you can think of. I call it clearing out your sock drawer. Clear out the holy socks, those holy beliefs that aren't serving you well. And to end, I just wanted to share with you something that that's been powerful for people in the last couple of weeks. It's very simple. I'd like you to think of a snow globe, and I don't know when you last saw a snow globe, or if you've got one, or if your children have got a snow globe. Bring it to mind. Notice, you know, everything about it, and you'll be aware that they have snow, and it can be swirling around in the globe. Sometimes it's a blizzard, sometimes it's a storm, sometimes it's a bit calmer, other times it's just sat on the floor. And what I'd like you to do now is just be aware of your thoughts, because I think currently, especially, people have quite a lot of thoughts and maybe a busy mind, and your feelings, so your emotional feelings and your physical feelings, and allow them to settle in the same way that the snow does in a snow globe. Allow everything just to sink down gently in the same way that when you put that globe down, everything does. And as you allow that to happen, notice what's left. Notice the space that's left inside you. And when you've pictured the snow going down, maybe you hear it along the bottom, you notice how it feels, and the peace and the tranquility that's left now in the snow globe. Notice the state that you're currently in, because once you're able to do that, and I'm guessing you've done it now, what's left behind is calm and peace. If you're able to do that once a day, then that's a state you'll be able to return back to more easily, because it's like a muscle that you're flexing. It's a practice. So pretend, or just acknowledge that internally there might be a blizzard, and let the snow settle, because we control the snow. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mel.
Thank you. Did we have trouble with Virgin? Or?
in between all of that, while I was trying to think of my numbers out of 10, we've had internet completely dying. There's a problem with Virgin Media in Brighton. So yeah. Both Helen and I were out of it for a while, but I think Helen is back now, aren't you, Helen?
Yeah.
Yes.
I am back. Oh, right. Dear. Hold on a sec.
So thank you, Mel. That was great. And for everybody that's on the call, we are recording this, so we'll send it out, so you'll be able to listen to it again as well, because there's some really useful things there, strategies there. Okay, Helen, are you set?
I am. I'm just in the waiting room on my laptop. Can you let me in, please?
Oh, if Allegra lets you in.
This is my phone at the moment, but I'm going to go back to my laptop if it works. Yes. Fantastic. Yay. Hold on. Right, okay. Back in the room. Is it me now?
Yes, over to you when you're ready.
Okay, well, do you know, oh, hold on, I just need to leave the Zoom call on my phone, because I've now got echoing going. Okay.
Yes, I did the same thing.
So what I'm disappointed about is, Mel, I have just missed your entire presentation, which is a real shame, but I caught the very, very last little bit, which was about being calm. So hold on, I've still got this going on.
And you'll be able to listen to the recording, Helen. We'll make sure you get it as well.
I will, for sure. That will be fantastic. Okay. I've still got echo going on.
Yeah.
Can I just throw it out of the window? Zoom meeting in progress. Excuse me a moment. Leave. I do want to see you.
There we go.
Right. Okay, well, I hope that I managed to stay with you for the next 20 minutes, which is my little time. Actually, given everything that's just happened, I do want to admit I was a little bit nervous about coming to present to Brighton digital women, because I'm probably the least likely person that should be stood up here, or I am standing up in front of you, with my history with tech. And basically, my guilty secret is that I only joined Facebook probably like a few weeks ago, maybe. So, you know, you talked about lockdown being good and moving forwards. I have been progressing at a rapid speed. So, feeling calm, my snow globe is settling. And it's really important at the moment, isn't it, that we do feel calm. And not really just now with the pandemic, but moving forwards into this new future. Who knows what's going to happen? We are pioneers. Now, I know that some of what I talk about tonight may cross over with what Mel said. I was hoping to hear her, so I didn't use the exact same words. But we're operating in the same kind of area. My emphasis, my sort of priority really with Boost Project is about helping people feel good first. And it might sound really frivolous, but actually I believe that is the most important tool that we have. If we can help ourselves feel better, uplifted, more energized before we do anything, whether that's life or work, then we're going to have a better result. If it's business especially, you know, to feel good and manage our state in that way. And I know Mel talked about state. So I was thinking, what can I do in my 20 minutes here? And what I would like to do is to help you feel fab. So what I mean by fab, the clue's in the title, and it is about how you're feeling, what are you asking, and who are you being. So there will be a little bit of emphasis again on, you know, some of the same stuff, but I know that I've got some exercises that are a little bit different to what Mel did. Now I've also got some very high-tech resources, which are a little bit embarrassing at Brighton Digital Women. No slides, but we have like sticked pictures. And so this one I'd like to see, this is how people are feeling at the moment, feeling like it's a bit of a battleground. And when we feel like it's a battleground and we're fighting our way through and we're surviving and we're keeping going and keeping our heads above water, then we're braced and we're feeling sort of tense. And that's when we're really and we can get trapped in what I call our survival emotions. Now, often we need to ask ourselves, what's our dominant thought at that time? Because for business owners, what that can mean is that we end up with the thoughts going around about, okay, so, why is everyone else doing it better than me? They've got their online course sorted out. They're already massive on LinkedIn, you know, that kind of, I call it comparitis, you know, that sort of disease. And then, or, you know, might be thinking, well, there's no point. What's the point in doing this? Because there's no money out there, that scarcity thinking. Or we might be going, well, you know what? There's no point. I can't survive. I think it was on the Digital Women website that there was a quote saying 8% of business owners believe that their business is going to be, only 8% believe it's not going to be impacted by coronavirus. So when we're thinking like that, often we get sort of tunnel vision. And, you know, we get blinkered maybe to what else is going on and what the opportunities are. So what I'm going to invite you tonight is something that I do in my workshops, is to move from the battleground to the playground. Okay. So again, it's not frivolous. The whole point of seeing life, moving that shift from battleground to playground, is that in a playground, there's energy, there's excitement, there's opportunities. And we move from this kind of blinkered vision, and we open out and we can breathe a little bit and we see the possibilities. So it's a little bit like two people selling umbrellas, and they do a great business in the winter, and then the sun comes out and one of them turns around and goes, oh, well, there's no point then, is there? There's no point. I might as well just close shop. And the other one goes, wow, what an opportunity. Parasols. And that's it. You know, it's as simple as that sometimes, to see the different opportunities, because they're always there. So feeling fab. First of all, how you're feeling. Now, Mel, I know, even though I didn't listen to it, would have come up with some amazing strategies and tactics to help you feel better. So putting those into play is really important. and can make the difference to feel better about yourself and about options and possibilities. And I don't know whether she covered smiling. Did you cover smiling? Okay, so let's just have a practice. I've only got a few little faces here, but I've deliberately left it on gallery view so I can see just a smile, a little bit of a smile. In fact, a little bit of a laugh. Let's just do this. I've got a very 70s low budget prop here. Just let's have a go. Don't worry about feeling stupid. Let everybody else in the house wonder what you are up to at the moment. I want you to have a little laugh. Let's do it. Force it, fake it, do it, fake it till you make it. I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear it? So, it won't stop now. I always say that this is what we had before iPads, kids. This is what we used to have for our entertainment. And back in those days as well, there was Norman Wisdom. And I've got a quote, and bless him, a perfect quote for lockdown about laughter. Laughter is like internal jogging without having to leave the house. Wow, he was ahead of his time, that man. But the thing with laughter is it stimulates the organs, it relieves stress and tension, it improves the immune system, it improves relationships, it makes us feel good physically, it even burns calories. So that's a little tip, smiling, laughter, do a bit of that to feel better. The second point then, so we've got asking. And I have got a bit of a digital reference here, I thought, coming to Brighton Digital Women. It's about considering your mind to be like a human Google. Did you say anything like that? No. Human Google. So what we put in to Google, we get out, don't we? So if we put in a question going, oh no, why is everybody else doing better than me? What we get in 0.38 seconds is, 2 million responses saying exactly why everyone else is doing better than you, maybe with a few videos just to prove it, really rub it in. And what we want to do is be mindful of the questions that we're putting into our Google, to our brain. So the pivoting that needs to happen isn't in our actions sometimes, it's about what's happening in here. So I'm going to give you 3 questions that are really good to ask at times like this, and you might want to write these down. The first question, I suppose saying about questions and thinking about the playground, kids ask really curious, open questions, don't they? Why is the sky blue? What happens when I do that? Where does God come from? Whatever, I don't know. They ask all sorts of questions. Now, this might be a bit of a sore point if some of you have been homeschooling for the last few weeks, and hearing those questions, I think I might be on dodgy ground here. So moving on, those 3 questions that you can ask yourself, which will help you to be in a better place. And the first one is, how am I now? How am I now? Check in. And I know that that ties in with what Mel's doing about just tuning into what we're feeling. The second one, what do I need? What do I need? And that might be self-care. It might be, saying, what does self-care look like to me now? And the third one, I've got another little picture for this one, is climbing. So I've got a friend who does free climbing, which is this kind of stuff, where you're hanging precariously, dangling from a rock by your fingertips. And this friend went on a workshop saying overcoming irrational fear in climbing. And there was a question that was suggested to ask yourself, because when you're hanging off a rock and there's a big drop down, you don't want to be going, oh, why am I so stupid? Why is everyone else doing it better than me? So the question that they recommended to ask was, what can I do here? What can I do here? That's a beautiful question, because it implies that there is something you can do. And there is always something you can do, but it gets you back into the here and now, and also what you can do. So in the words of a woman, Bernadette Doyle, who's got some great little quotes, she says, do what you can with what you've got from where you are. So asking these questions will help us to see those opportunities from that opening out. So the third bit then is be. Now, being is sometimes tough, and I'm going to ask a question. I hope this isn't offensive. I don't know if it is. I'm going to ask, what kind of bird are you? So let me explain with my high-tech props. Here we go. In a crisis, when it's stressful, are you, and I hope this doesn't also offend anybody else, it's a headless chicken, right? Now, no animals were harmed in the making of this prop, but, you know, are you a headless chicken? Do you run around, do you get busy, you know, in your business, do you find yourself doing lots of stuff, organising lots of meetings, making it happen, go, 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 sell, 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 whatever it is. I want you to see if you recognise yourself in any of these. The second one, an ostrich. Do you bury your head in the sand? Do you ignore it? Do you hope it will go away? It's a temptation, isn't it? Do you fly away? Do you avoid it? And that includes, you know, sort of turning the laptop off and, you know, just kind of watching, I don't know, watching Netflix or something. People always say that, and I'm not sure how much of that goes on. But yeah, anyway, watching Netflix, avoiding, or are you this one? A frozen chicken. Now, the frozen chicken one, if that's your bird, if that's your go-to, is around that sort of analysis paralysis that can happen when we are, you know, we're trying to work out what to do and we're actually doing nothing, or we might be then doing avoiding. So we can be a mix of all of them. You know, I do a particularly good headless chicken at times. So it's tough sometimes, but what I know from my experience is that we always have the strength, the power, the resources, the skills, the qualities inside of us. I've never failed to find that inside people. And I've got I mentioned my firewalking company. That is the title of it is Be Your Own Guru, very much about tuning into your own inner wisdom, power, strength. So we're going to do a little exercise around this to prove that you have those strengths. So potentially, if you're a headless chicken, it might be calm you're after. If you were an ostrich, it might be clarity. If you were a frozen chicken, it might be movement, life, energy. And if you fly away, you might need to stay and face and have the courage or commitment for that. So I'd like you to do a little exercise with you where you can tap into whatever it is that you need. Now, imagine that you've just done the exercise with Mel. Your snowflakes have settled. You're empty, you're calm, and you're relaxed. Now you can close your eyes, but you don't have to. What I'm going to do, this isn't a visualization. It's not even, it's basically taking you on a little journey and asking you to think of a memory, a specific memory in your past when you felt fully alive, confident, powerful, dynamic, courageous, whatever it is that you want to feel. Go back to a memory, a specific one, and it can be anything. You're not going to have to share this. It can be anything you want. And a time when you really felt it, you really believed it, and everyone will have something. Get that in your mind now. And what I'd like you to do is step into the person that you were then. I want you to step into that scene and as much as you can, really feel it now. So what were you smelling? What were you hearing? The sounds, the sights, what were you doing? Who was there? All of that. Start to really get a picture of that and be in that person. Step into that you, that younger you who was feeling fantastic and fired up and calm and crazy or whatever it was. And while you're there, what's the colour? What's the overriding colour that is in that picture? And when you've got that colour, ramp it up a bit, turn it up, dial it up, make it bigger, bolder, brighter, and really sort of feel that you're back there in that sensation, in that situation again, and you can feel it all. And what's the emotion? What's the overriding dominant emotion when you're in that memory? Clock it for yourself, the overriding emotion. And now what I'd like you to do is give yourself a name. It doesn't matter what it is, it's got to mean something to you, but a name for you in that moment, something that will mean something to you. Give it a name, be as playful as you like with it, give it something really silly, but you remember that moment when you felt bold, confident, amazing, on top of the world, fantastic, whatever it was. And when you've got your name, you've got your emotion, your name, think of a strength from there. What's a strength that you've got, that you know that you've got, that you've had in that moment? And relish it. I'm going to ask you in a moment to stop thinking about that. So just live it one last moment of going, yay, woohoo, brilliant, I love it. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is, in the chat, can you put your name? just your name. You'll remember the emotion and the colour and everything else, but it'd be really nice to know what your names are, what you've come up with. And I'm going to share with you, I don't know if is it okay to swear? Just one, yeah, okay. Anyone with kids in the room, just put your hands over their ears for a moment, because I was talking to a friend the other day, and her sort of alter ego character, her superhero is Felicity Fuckett. And, you know, and another woman that I've worked with as a client, she had anxiety and really struggled socially, had trauma in her past life, and she tried to overcome it. And she had loads of tactics and strategies, but she couldn't use them in the moment. She couldn't access them. And we did this exercise with her. It seems really simple, but basically we did this exercise and took her back to a moment. And for her, her amazing memory was just before she went in the ring. She's a kickboxer. So just before she went in the ring, she would bounce and she would feel psyched up like athletes do, fully ready to go, you know, feeling confident and sure and focused and driven, and all of those feelings that she wasn't able to get in her life, you know, any other way. And that was a game changer for her. From then, she just blossomed, and she'd bounce just before she'd go into work, or maybe to get out of bed in the morning, because that was a difficult one. And she'd bounce and it would help change her state, and then she'd be able to use all the tools and tactics. And I've got one there. Thank you very much, Mel. Podium dancer. You know what that means. And that's the important thing. You know what it means. It's got to be something that is personal, that means something to you. Okay, so fab. What are you feeling? What are you asking yourself? Who are you being? You can be this person. I love it. Electra, it's a long story. I'm sure it is. Hopefully one day we'll get to hear that. Saskia and Snow Globe. Oh, I'm loving it. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's a bit weird not getting the feedback of live, but this feels like you're there. Fire Lady. Wow. Okay, thank you. Roxy was the name of this my client's alter ego, because that was her teacher, fiery, powerful woman. And we're all fiery, powerful, and we've got this to access, and we might need it in the days and weeks to come. We might need it. So I'd like to finish by just doing one last little part, which is saying, okay, feeling, asking, being, what are you doing? Because all of this stuff is great, but you do actually have to take those steps. As you know, you're all business owners. You've all been brave and put yourself out there and taken the steps to get yourself to the stage that you're at. So what I'd like you to do is to think of what you'll do tonight, a tiny little action, a tiny little something, whether it's from what Mel talked about, whether it's from what we've done, whether it's from Fire Lady, Bubbles, or Podium Dancer, or whoever. Take a little action, one little thing that you will do differently. And I challenge you to find some way to remember this character, whether that's a screensaver, a drawing, you know, a colour, the colour that was there, you know, anything. To remember that you're going to do this little action. And I'd like you to do it before 9 o'clock tonight. That's the challenge. Do that before 9 o'clock tonight, one little action, and then celebrate it and go, woohoo, yeah, I did that. And then do it. Okay. And I've just been reminded very much, before I finish, tune in again, check in. Where are you now on that scale of 1 to 10? Where are you now? And if you've moved maybe 1 or 2 notches, then that's fantastic. Our job here is done. It shows that in a short amount of time, you can really feel a whole lot better. So thank you very much for listening. There we go. Got through it with the Wi-Fi still working. Woo-hoo.
Brilliant, Helen. Thank you so much. We got through it with us all here on the internet. So I'm actually using my phone internet signal because I think the Wi-Fi died completely. To answer Mel's question about where are people on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I was at quite a high, probably maybe a 7. And then you know how things can take you down. So all of the internet problems took you back down. It was all a bit scrambling, but it then came back up again. Well, and then Helen started as well. So it's come. So I'd say I'm probably about sort of 8, 9-ish. Don't know about everyone else. Anyone else want to share where they are on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, someone's at 10. Is that Helen? At
That's
10.
relief.
Great. Thank you so much. Now, does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to ask Mel and Helen about?
Everyone's muted.
Yeah, you feel free to unmute or type it in the chat.
I've unmuted everyone except myself. There we go. You're all unmuted now. Feel free to jump in.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? No?
You've answered everybody's questions, ladies. You've fulfilled everybody's hopes and dreams.
Amazing.
So I'm just going to put up, can you all see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to put up something with your contact details for everyone. And we'll send this, we can send this out as well, can't we? Just so you can see Mel and Helen's email addresses and websites. And you're both actually offering an offer, aren't you, to anyone from Brighton Digital Women for your coaching sessions?
Yeah, if anybody...
Do you just want to talk about that?
Sure. I think Helen and I both agreed that this was really just about wanting to help in any way that we could, and if as a result of that anyone's a bit curious and would like to come and see either of us, then we're both really happy to offer an hour and a half, so 90-minute session at the rate of a 60-minute session, to make it more accessible. That was the idea. Is that right, Helen?
Yep, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Come back to you. There we go. Great. Well, Helen, if there's no further questions, we'll end the session there, and we've recorded it, so we'll make the recording available to everyone. And actually, before I go, and Allegra tells me off, if you're not already in the Brighton Digital Women Facebook group, we have a group. Follow us on Twitter. What have I missed, Allegra?
Yeah, we're at BTN Digital Women on Twitter, and we're at Brighton Digital Women on Instagram as well. And if anybody wants to write a blog for us at any point or has anything that they'd like to share, then please do feel free to get in touch. We're also brightondigitalwomen@gmail.com if you want to suggest a blog or an event you'd like to see in future, anything else that you'd like to get involved with, then yeah, then let us know. We're always looking for input from you guys. Our next event is going to be a little bit different. Some of you who came along with earlier in the year to our Purpose Fair will know that we've been working really closely with the guys at the Brighton and Sussex University Hospitals Trust charity. So it was now Flori's getting that model, but it's a charity really dear to all of our hearts, and obviously with everything that's going on at the moment, the NHS is struggling even more than ever. So we are going to raise some money for the Brighton and Sussex hospitals. So on the 28th of May, we will be putting all the details out there, but please do come and join us. We are going to be hosting a Brighton Digital Women Taskmaster style event for you all to get involved with. There will be prizes, there'll be games, it'll be fun, but it will be in aid of the BSUH. Bonus for that. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you ever so much, Mel and Helen. That was really
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to offer that.
Thank you.
Really good to see you all, everybody. Thanks for coming. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.